Hello guys, Assalamualaikum. Welcome back to our analysis of the Basel III leverage ratio. We have been digging into this issue for quite some time. So today we will be going into part 4, and that will be about the Islamic deposit. And we can say that Islamic deposit are in fact leverage money or loan supplied by the depositor, and these loans are used to make murabaha or tawaru. Thus, this leverage money is subjected to Basel capital adequacy requirement. So we have to look into this issue and to make sure that the viewers understand what I'm trying to convey about this leverage funding system in Islamic banking. As I have said earlier, that when a bank uses leverage money to make a loan without risk, such as government bond, government securities, then the bank is subject to the Basel III leverage ratio of 3%. That is for, let's say, for a 10 billion capital. If the bank holds 10 billion worth of capital, then based on the leverage ratio of 3%, the bank can make loan up to 333.3 billion. So meaning that this loan are funded by the leverage money. So again, we look at the previous illustration that a bank, given that a bank is holding tier 1 capital of 10 billion, then we can say that, based on our calculation over here, then the bank would be able to buy government treasury, let's say at the yield of 4%, and the deposit were acquired from the depositor as a loan, so the bank pays them 2%, and we can see that the bank should be, getting some decent earning of 6.7 billion. So meaning that it is the revenues generated from the purchase of government securities minus the cost of fund, that is the interest rate payable to the depositors, and we can see that the bank is able to make an earning of 6.7 billion. However, if the bank wish to make loan or make a risky loan, in a sense that the bank make loans to the customer, mortgages, personal loan, car loan, for example, and these loans are risky in the sense that some of these customers do not have the necessary asset or collateral or guaranteed to back up their exposure or to back up their loans, and thus these loans are likely to fall into default. And so the bank, if they were to make a risky loan using leverage money, then the bank must observe another leverage requirement, that is the capital adequacy ratio of 10.5%, which is much higher than the leverage ratio of 3%, because in this capital adequacy, banks are making risky loan. So it will be dangerous, to the depositors. So bank must have enough capital to absorb any possible losses arising from default, right? So it means that for a 10 billion worth of capital, now the bank can make loan or can make risky loan up to 100 billion on average. So we can see here that given a capital of 10 billion tier 1 capital, equity capital, and given assuming that the risk associated with the loan is accorded at 100% risk weight, then we can calculate what would be the amount of loan that can be issued by the bank, and here it is essentially equal to 95.2 billion loan. So meaning that the bank can make loan up to 95.2 billion, and that is funded by leverage money of 95.2 billion. So I need to correct this number. Okay, so in the sense that the earning now for the bank would be 10% because the bank is making a risky loan. So now the loan rate is raised from 4% to 10%, and we can see here that the bank will be able to make a revenue of 9.52 billion. Then the cost to the bank will, the cost of fund to the bank will be 2% of 95.2 billion, and that will be 1.9 billion, and the bank now will see that they are making higher profit at 7.62 billion compared to the earlier illustration where they are making at 6.7 billion. So the idea here is that as long as the sources of funding in banking is coming from deposit, so the term deposit, as long as the bank label the sources of funding as deposit, current account, deposit, saving account, term deposit, fixed deposit, it implies that a bank, whether they are Islamic or conventional, they are using leverage money or borrowed money to make loans or to make murabaha. So when leverage money is utilized to make loan or murabaha, then banks are required to hold adequate capital against this exposure, right? For zero risk asset, the bank need to hold 3%, while if the bank make risky asset, that the bank have to observe the CAR ratio of 10.5%. So this is a very important system that all of us need to understand well, and what would be the implication to the banking business. Of course, the leverage ratio is meant to ensure that bank have enough capital to absorb any losses coming from the exposure, especially when the bank is using the leverage money to make the risky loan as what we see under the CAR ratio of 10.5%. So by using leverage money, that is loan supplied by the depositors, then we can say that the bank is entering into a loan contract with the depositor. So the depositor is the supplier of the loan, and this contract will come with term and conditions such as that there will be deposit redemption in full plus interest at maturity, number one, and number two is withdrawal of the deposit on demand, right? And we can see that there will be severe implication if the bank is not able to honor this condition, and this we can see, for example, severe implication if this is not observed, meaning that the depositor is not able to withdraw on demand, or they are not be able to withdraw, based on the agreement that they will get full capital protection and plus the interest as stipulated in the contract. So if these conditions are not fulfilled by the bank, then we can see that there can be possible bank run, as evidence in the bank run of Silicon Valley Bank in 2023 last year, and the Northern Rock Bank in UK that was much earlier in the year 2008 during the US mortgage crisis, subprime mortgage crisis. So what I'm trying to say here, that the Islamic bank cannot escape Basel III regulation when they label their funding or their sources of funding as deposit, under the contract of wadi'ah or qardu or tawaru and murabaha. They cannot play with this Arabic label, to divert from possible criticism that this so-called Islamic deposit are in fact loans with fixed return, that is interest, right? So because the Islamic Bank technically is under the governance of Basel Accord, so they must be able to so-called observe this Basel regulation, so as to ensure that the Islamic banking business, are able to be recognized worldwide. Yes. Of course, we can see that this Islamic deposit, when it comes to the Islamic deposit, when this Islamic bank have labeled their deposit as their funding as deposit, then automatically it implies that the Islamic deposit contract must guarantee full redemption of the deposit at maturity and withdrawal on demand as required by the Basel Accord, right? And we can see that about profit from deposit, we can see that the Islamic Bank have been labeling profit as hiba, under the Qardu and Wadi'ah contract, and dividends under the Mudarabah contract. And for the Tawarruk deposit, Islamic Bank have shamelessly give fixed contracted profit on the deposit placement, which is like the riba deposit, because they argue that the Tawarruk is not a loan but a sale. So because it is a sale, then it's okay to give fixed contracted profit, plus full redemption of deposit. So this is really an interesting claim made by the Islamic Bank, but we should look into this matter more discreetly as we go further to understand more about this leverage funding. I'll see you again, guys. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.